Is And a very fine morning to you guys. What's up, Frugal BC here, and we've got a great live stream for you today. Good morning, Mike Latiris here in the chat already, and we are back on X. That's right. So, actually, I had a failure when I tried to stream on Kick, so I decided to stream on Twitch, and we're back on X, and of course on YouTube. So, welcome everybody. Hope you're all doing well today, and got a lot of cool stuff to talk about today through obviously the markets are not very exciting, and so we're going to dive into that. A little bit of a pullback today. We're going to react to whatever the top Algorand video is. So I have saved that. We'll do a little reaction video. That's always fun. Looks like a very positive one based on the titles and all that, so that's pretty interesting. And we've got a bunch of stuff in the Hedera ecosystem we'll talk about, plus lots of Algorand news. Of course, none of these news items really affect the price very much, and I know that's what a lot of people care about, so we'll talk about that. I might talk about some stuff around what I'm doing with DeFi and some of my thoughts around that too. Had a members only video yesterday that only members got to see in the level 2 and higher, so you can go check that out. But we'll talk a little bit about that stuff too, kind of in a broader sense. I went really into the details about what I'm thinking about what's going on with that. Shared my numbers and all that, so we might dive into that a little bit today too. Michael Orr in the chat, welcome. It says, hi, nice to have some good news. I agree. I agree. Unfortunately, the markets are not that good news, so that's a problem. So I do want to say, channel members, you can if you want to be a channel member, join the Frugalnauts. We kind of we get some really cool features for channel members, you get to see videos before anyone else. They go live at least a couple hours before they do to the general public. So you get them first. And that's the $1 tier. So the $1 tier, that's really affordable. I mean, that's next to nothing every month. You can join that and support the channel. Of course, super chats are always appreciated. And I might start doing things where, maybe I'll do like super chat goals or something to try to get to the next, it's like, well, I'll do another half hour if we get a super chat or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, welcome everybody who's here today. It's Friday morning. I wish we had some better price news for you. It's not super great, but we will dive into that and lots to talk about news-wise. There's some really good stuff that happened. Of course, the T-bill thing, that's U.S. Treasuries you can actually get on chain right now, which I think is kind of neat. A little confusion about which one it is. There's actually two of them in Para, and Para Wallet themselves seemed to be unsure when they answered somebody about which one was the right one. So that's a little bit concerning, but yeah, lots of things to look at. I guess we will maybe just get right to the markets, huh? But before we do that, if you haven't liked and subscribed already, appreciate you do so. We definitely need some more followers on Twitch, so go ahead and follow us on Twitch. If you're watching over there, I don't know if anyone is. Let me see. I can actually find out. Tells me we got one viewer on Twitch, so thanks for watching. If you haven't if you're not following me, please do so. Otherwise, you can also follow my X page at BC_Kowalski. I'm actually thinking about seeing if I can change that to, I don't know, I'll have to change a lot of stuff, but I like it to be like at FrugalBC. By the way, I've had some imitators lately, so keep an eye out for that. It's BC_Kowalski. If you see anything else with an extra L, etc., it's definitely not me. And what was disturbing is the latest one that someone brought to my attention had more followers than me. I have 3,100 and some change, and this one had 4,100. I was like, how does like a fake account have more followers than the real one? So I got rid of that. Hopefully that will help people realize they were following the wrong one. The other one like had like next to nothing that I came across. It's kind of weird to have imitators. Like, what are you getting out of it? Also, by the way, I will never DM you and say, oh, I got this new coin I'm promoting. It's just not going to happen. I don't even promote coins on here, really. I just tell you what I'm working on and looking at. So if you ever see something like that, it's definitely not me, okay? Just for heads up. So yeah, hope everyone's doing well out there. And, post what your favorite thing that happened this week in crypto is. Let me know in the chat what your favorite thing in crypto, and you can post on X, you can post on Twitch, and you can post on YouTube, obviously. So that's where the most of our chat comes from, generally speaking. But either one is fine. Let me know your biggest crypto win this week, and that can be either personally or as far as something that happened in the news ecosystem. But let's just dive right into the charts here. So let me pull that up first. We'll go to Vestige. Vestige looks a lot different now. I always forget to set this up. Here we go. Hold on a second here. Just gonna make a few adjustments here so we can see everything. We'll start here and we can see trending coins, generally speaking, a bunch of stuff you haven't heard of. Market cap overall down 2.6%. Coin market cap 100 is down 2.4%. So, and we're seeing that we're still in greed territory, but we're on the border of greed and neutral. So it's important to think about what that actually means. And by the way, because I mean, dude, we're at 105, almost $106,000 Bitcoin. That's very good, right? We have to put this in perspective. Let's take a look here for a second here. Okay, let's well, here's all time. Mine's set at all time right now because I was doing some research on a couple of things. Oops. I mean, let's just put this in perspective. Look where Bitcoin is. Look where it was compared to on April 8th, it was at 76,000. And now we're at 105,000. So that's quite a gain. That's almost a 30-some% gain if I'm doing my math correctly. Right? Yeah. Yeah, about a third up. So, and then let's not forget, this was last year. What? Hold on. Yeah, if you were buying in 2023, well, that was a really good time to buy. I actually had my average buy was around 33,000, and I'm kind of doing a new Bitcoin strategy now. I'm just going to start dollar cost averaging and not take profits anymore, because I just don't think there's a point to it anymore. Bitcoin has proven that it's just going to keep making new highs every year. They may not be the most exciting highs, but hey, we were at 60 some. This is our last one. We topped out at 60 some. Now we're at 100 some thousand. And when the next dip comes down, because what did we do? About half? Or even less than half. I mean, yeah, we were in the 16, 17 range. So, we'll probably come back down to around 30, 40,000 once this crashes. It depends on how high it goes. I don't know if this is the peak. We had kind of a double peak here last time. This might be the new peak. We might have another leg up. Who knows? But nice to see that anyway. I like the way it's going here. So that's Bitcoin, and that's my strategy around Bitcoin. But just to put that in perspective, even if you look at the year, I mean, we're way up on the year time frame. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have year to date. I wish it did. But yeah, in 1 year we're up 54%. I mean, so when we talk about fear and greed, you have to remember that this is a very localized metric. It's like what people are feeling at this moment, and that often is influenced by what happened in the market in the last 2 days and not over the last month. Mike Orr says, I buy a little each week, slowly and steady seems to be a good strategy for Bitcoin. Yeah, I do too. And because I've been thinking, I've been telling this story to people, like, when I say that I made mistakes around Bitcoin in the past, I didn't lose money. I actually gained money. We had that interview with Cassius Cuvée, I think, yeah. With Cassius last week, and I told him this story, like that I made money in Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin when it was like a few $100s. It pumped up into the thousands, and I sold a bunch, made money, put it in my pocket, and thought, hey, cool, I won. And I did. I didn't lose money. But think about if I just DCA'd that whole time since 2017, I'd be in a very different financial position than I am now. And I took that money. I didn't go and buy waffles or something. I went and I put that in the S&P 500, and it made more gains. So it's not like I didn't make money off of the crypto, but I could have done a lot better with it, I think. Michael Orr says, curious how the BlackRock quantum warning, oops, yeah, let me take that off. Curious how the BlackRock quantum warning will affect future buying. Now that's interesting too, because I've been making a video for the Algorand Foundation on that. That's my next one, about CoinMarketCap basically giving a big shout out to Algorand, saying this is one of the ones that's been making a difference, and they had the Falcon signatures, and so they're quantum ready, which is really cool. Snail with Grocery says, let's go, beautiful week, hope all is well at Frugal BC at chat. So I wonder who's watching me on Twitch, if it's not you, Snail, or do you have it on both? I decided, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough call between Kick and Twitch. Neither one is really getting a lot of traction. I think with streaming, you really have to do it a lot. The one I get a lot of traction on is X, because I just have a lot of followers there already. And they've been talking about, apparently Twitch is talking about, or sorry, X and Elon are talking with Asmongold to get the to build it out to a real streaming platform. So I'm very, very interested in that. So I've decided, because I was always going to pick either Kick or Twitch. And I don't know if I still don't know if I've entirely picked Twitch, but Kick wasn't working today, so I decided to just stream on Twitch instead. So I actually started on Kick, but it didn't work today. Snail says not today, but usually is me. Yes, I got someone else watching on Twitch, which is very exciting. And hopefully, if you're, for the person watching on Twitch, please follow me so we can, hopefully add more subscribers. And, feel free to leave a chat too. We're friendly here. So yeah, Bitcoin leading the way. Let's just see who is doing the worst on the 20. Well, first the best, Kronos. Obviously, that is the coin from the crypto.com. And look at that. It had this little, you can't see it here. It had that little dip down and all the way up. In fact, I'm going to change. Hold on a second. There, now you can see this too. Yeah, look at that dip down and then way back up. That's really interesting. Yeah, and Unisud Leo, that's been on here for a while. I know nothing about it, but it's been on the top 100 for a long time. And it always seems to move slightly against the market. Dex with an extra E. I don't know what that's about. But as you can see, not a lot doing, in the positive. A lot of it's in the red. Who did the worst? Radium, Fartcoin. Good. I want something like Fartcoin to be tanking. Stupid Fartcoin. Come on, let's do some real cryptos here. Athena, Arbitrum, that's a real one, down quite a bit. Bonk. And near protocol taking kind of a bath. I'm a little surprised about that. That's been one of my favorites. And for terms of price action, like I already took a bunch of profit off of that, which was cool to see. Floki. Yeah, so a lot of the meme coins suffering, but then some real cryptos like Optimism, the Graph, Gala Games. I'm not going to shed any tears over Gala Games. I have a huge problem with Gala. Can't stand it. Big pain in the butt. WorldCoin. Trying to take over the world. Virtuals, Dog with Hat. Man, I took such a bath on Dog with Hat. I don't know why. I just decided to put some money into it. Stupid. I should buy some Dog with Hat today just to lower my DCA a little bit. Doge taking a bath. CryptoWalk says Zebek. Yeah, we'll take a look at that in a second. The BitGet token. I'm just not a big, I'll tell you what, I'm not a big fan of these exchange tokens. Let's make sure I'm showing it here. Where'd that go? Yeah, right here. I'm not a big fan of these exchange tokens. I just don't think they're, I don't think they're a good buy. I really don't. Because there's so much platform risk involved with them. It's so easy for them to, if the platform goes away, that token, it's just screwed. And I had that happen with AlgoStake. It was part of my DeFi experiment, and it was a harsh lesson in what happens with these coins. Yeah, otherwise Pudgy Penguin's not doing great. And then Cosmos, I'm a big Cosmos fan. I have a decent little bag of Cosmos that I've been staking. CryptoWalk says Gala changed too much of their business plan too often, lack of direction. Yeah, and I think it was Here's the thing about Gala. I'm going to pull this up on screen just so we have Gala up there while I'm talking. There we go. Here's the thing with Gala. They essentially took an extraction strategy from day one. So Gala's plan is basically, their game plan is basically, let's get a whole bunch of developers in, have them launch not even an MVP. Have them launch like the concept of a game with some nice screenshots and a little generic gameplay. And then what we're going to do is have them put out these NFTs on Gala, and the NFTs will be thousands of dollars. They're really expensive. And we'll make a profit. And then eventually we'll get around to maybe making the actual game and having it work. Maybe, how many of their games are still in beta? It's a lot of them. A lot of their games are still in beta. Townstar, technically, last I checked, is still in beta. It has never gone out of beta. And that's one of their longest running games. And by the way, the Gala is the reason I'm more skeptical of NFT games, of Web3 games than I used to be. Because I thought, like, well, games, it makes sense. It's like the perfect use case, right? I mean, everybody who's played a game knows, you play like Fortnite or whatever, you get a Fortnite gun, and then what, you can't sell it if you don't need it anymore. And, who's to say it's going to be yours, right? Maybe the company just decides to take it back. I haven't really seen that happen a lot. I haven't had that happen to me, but it's possible, right? Well, here's the problem. You might actually own the NFT, but that doesn't matter. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? Well, because the game company can just nerf the NFT in the game. So, so do you really own it? I mean, you might own it, but yeah, you own it, but you don't own its functionality, because they can just decide. And we found that out with Townstar. All of a sudden, the thing that the NFT was supposed to do, suddenly it didn't do that in the game. So yeah, you can own it. Great. And then this idea that you'll be able to take it to another game is like, yeah, no one's going to do that though, because no game company is incentivized to do that. If I make a new game and, it costs money to produce games, I make this game, what am I supposed to do? Why would I allow another NFT to come into my game system? Because I'm not making any money off of that. So why would I do that? I'm cannibalizing myself. Now, maybe I can say, okay, you guys got rugged on that game. If you bring your NFT over, I'll give you a discount. Now that could be a good strategy. So if I start a new farming game and I say, hey, all you guys that are really ticked about Townstar and how it played out, and then the whole stupid Common Grounds world renaming, which was like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Hey, you guys with those NFTs, you bring them over here and we'll give you a discount on the new NFTs, or we'll let you exchange it. You can exchange it for our NFTs and then we'll give you a big discount, like 25% off or something. I could see that as a viable like customer acquisition strategy. But beyond that, I just don't see what the motivation is for doing that. RL, thanks so much for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate that. He says, pair character flying in the air with a red cape and a smile on his face. Oh, it's a description. Unfortunately, I can't see that in the thing here, but yeah, appreciate the super chat, RL. That's really awesome. Eric Schermeyer of Zynga started Gala, but it didn't translate. I gave up on Gala when they created a new coin and dropped the old one. Yeah, I was out well before that, I'll be honest. RL says, Algo fam, what's up? Yeah, what's up, Algo fam? Snail with groceries with a W. Yeah, so I mean, this is my problem with Gala. I just I think they got on over the skis and they didn't focus on making a sticky experience. And like some of their games just never really got off the ground, or they just weren't that good. Now I actually thought Townstar was a really fun game. I was making content on Townstar because I did like the game. I thought it was really fun. The earning part was cool, but it was also, and I still like it. I still play it every once in a while. I haven't for a while, but I still play it every once in a while. So that's Gala. Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, I don't know if there's anything here I'm too excited about. And then one other thing I want to talk about here. Let's go back to market cap here. We'll dive into, oh, here's Hedera. Yeah, down 4%, 12, almost 13% on the week. That's too bad. I'm still stuck, by the way. When it comes to Hedera, I'm still stuck in my LP because it needs to come down to, it needs to get to like 30 some cents before I can restart the LP. It's the version 2 and it works really weird on Saucer Swap. This is why I'm a big fan of Algorand. Yeah, so Algorand sitting right now at number 52. It is down a little more than Hedera, almost 6% down. Taco in the chat says, good morning. What's up, Taco? 6% down on the day, almost 14% on the week. And something came up. There's a guy who posted this. I didn't save it, but he said, AlgoFam doesn't like people reminding them that of the number 5 by 2025 statement, which Stacey Warden made. It's a little strange. that it was a little strange comment because like he says this and I'm like, well, a lot of people remember that. And I don't know that. I mean, he's trying to make the case that people on Algorand are overly optimistic and don't like criticism. And I see a space that's pretty robust in how much it debates things and how much it embraces criticism. Maybe not from the outside, but definitely from the inside. Yeah, by the way, look at 8.6. So we only got 1.4 left circulating of Algorand supply. And by the way, this is my hot take. I know people like will disagree with me on this. It doesn't matter. When it comes to price, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I understand why you would think it would, but it just doesn't. Yeah, top 5 by 2025. As we know, now we've still got 6 months, but I don't think it's going to happen. We were down. I think we were down in the 60s, but when I first started covering Algorand, you know, back when I got like 1 or 2 people watching my streams, and you know, if you're one of those OGs, by the way, shout out to you. Shout out to you, because a few of you folks were like in from day one, and you just stuck with me, which is really awesome. And everybody was here in the chat, though, really much appreciate you. Everyone who's here watching, whether it's your first day or last day, I definitely appreciate you. But yeah, some of you OGs been here for a hot minute, and remember we were in the top. We were always in the top 20. It was like 15, almost 14 at one point, I think. I don't know if there's a good way to track market cap, but so that sucks. Let's go over to Vestige now. I don't like, because they do this now, which is interesting. There's some cool stuff on here though, I will admit, but I wish, like, why not? Okay, yeah, I'll accept your, why not right here on the bottom? You guys can't quite see it. Why not on the very bottom have a button that says see all the charts? Wouldn't that make sense? I just don't understand why I liked when it showed the charts right in the front. But you can go to explore and basically get the same chart back. Let's see. CryptoX says Algorand is quantum resistant. One of the few coins with Algorand is tokenizing driver's licenses and car registrations. Snail says, I haven't heard about that. I haven't heard about that either. Interesting. This is Puff will be ecstatic. CryptoWalk says Algo, Quant, Hedera, and XRP are all quantum resistant. Yeah, I think Algorand's kind of leading the pack on that, though. I had a battle. I had a Twitter battle with someone from Hedera arguing that Hedera was more quantum resistant, but they couldn't produce any evidence. Ooh, this is really bad. Tiny is down to 0.0186. So it's down to 1.8 cents. Now my whole thesis around Tiny is that it was over 2 cents. It was always between 2.5 and 5 cents. So I don't know about this, man. It might be time just to switch to ready pools, because like this is seriously affecting. In fact, let's see here. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull up my pools. Let's just take a look here. By the way, I do want to point something out here. They now have this this swap feature, which is pretty cool. You can go back and forth. But what I mean by that is you have trigger. You can set up a. It looks a little different, and you can do recurring too. Selling, buying this. Yeah, I'll have to play around with this. It looks a little confusing, I guess. But it is, they were talking about this for a long time, having like limit orders. I don't know why it looks like this exactly, but okay, interesting. Yeah, we'll have to play around with that. Anyway, I want to show you my pool. So one thing I don't like about this, it tends to make only the fees on USDT. So I'm in, just to be clear, I'm in T-Algo USDC, and the fees are like next to nothing, man. I was getting, dude, during the when Algorand was like 40, 50, almost 60 cents, I was getting like $50, $60 a day on USDC algo. Now you don't get to actually see that. It doesn't accumulate anywhere. It just kind of is built into the pool. So I only learned this recently. This total includes any fees that you've accumulated. But 106 tiny is not very much. That's a daily total. Swap. Yeah, it's like less than $2 now. That really sucks. So anyway, that's that. Yeah, I'm not super happy with that. Snail says Tiny Man and Alpha both had small updates. Yeah, because we had a little crash on Alpha too. Let me take a look at that for a second. So I've also been doing a little Alpha Arcade experiment, and it's kind of funny because it's been holding this line at about a little under basically 4/10 of a cent a piece. Now, what's cool about Alpha is you get Alpha Arcade. So Alpha is the token for Alpha Arcade, which is I keep wanting to say betting market. It's a prediction market built on Algorand. And what's cool about it is you not only can you bet and make predictions and do all that fun stuff and participate in a prediction market in a very decentralized way on the Algorand blockchain, but you also if you hold the Alpha token, you make rewards in USDC, and that's you getting a cut of the fees. Now, it's been translating to about 5-6%, and I just upped it, so I'm waiting for a full month to come around, but it was about 5-6%. And sometimes you get like this huge payout, and sometimes not. So it really varies a lot too. And so I'm just kind of collecting some data on that, but 5-6% just for holding a coin that seems to stay pretty steady. Now we had this weird pump up and then drop back down, which was kind of weird. But otherwise, it really stayed around this mid-level zone here, which is really fascinating to me. So I got quite a few people watching on YouTube and X. If you're watching on YouTube, by the way, please hit that like and subscribe button. And as I always say, you don't have to smash it. You can actually just press it gently and it'll work just fine that way too. And I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors right now, Non-Fungible Domains. If you want that .algo address, just makes doing everything in Algorand so much easier. Mine's frugalbc.algo, and I'm thinking about offering segments on my own. So let me know in the chat if you think that would be interesting. If you'd be interested in having a frugalbc.algo segment, let me know. I'm kind of looking into it right now of offering that. So let me know in the chat if you're interested, or if you're watching after the fact, be sure to leave a comment. And then we're also brought to you by Marcus Furlius. And, why don't we just see how Marcus is doing? And honestly, like, I kind of don't care about the price of this project. Yeah, it's been, it goes up, swings down. Yeah, it's been that's not a bad looking chart, actually, all things considered. That's actually a pretty good chart, believe it or not. But I really like Marcus. I like what he's doing. He's got this meme coin army trying to spread the word about stoicism, which has been a pretty important part of my life. So I'm always happy to this is one of my favorite both of these partnerships. Like, I really believe in both of these guys. I think they're doing really good stuff. It just so happens that the chart's pretty nice. What's the little dots? What do those mean? That's new. Anyone know what those little dots on the chart mean? I haven't seen those before. Very interesting. Anyway, CryptoWalk says, what do you think about this new tech they're claiming lets you get 9.5% yield on your Bitcoin while you continue to custody the asset? I heard a speaker at Bitcoin conference say it. Well, I haven't heard about that, but if it lets you keep custody, that's pretty good, I'd say. Oh no, let's see. Bitcoin yield. I wonder if it's this one. Amboss launches Rails, empowering Bitcoin yield and Lightning growth. Amboss, a leader in AI-driven solutions for Bitcoin Lightning Network, today unveiled Rails, the self-custodial Bitcoin service designed to enhance utility. Develop blah, 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 blah. I don't see anything about yield, though. Liquidity. I don't know if that's it. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. If you got a link or something, let me know. We'll talk about it on stream. There's something about Solve protocol launching a yield-bearing Bitcoin token on Avalanche. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can find that right now. Let's go back to the Vestige charts. Hold on, I get some water. CryptoWalk says some of the biggest news that hit last year was meme coins have a use case now. The AI agents will merge with the meme coins and provide a function and receive fees that will be paid to the meme coin. Yeah, we did a big thing on AI and agents, and agents are where crypto is such a, it makes so much sense as a use case, but I wouldn't want a meme coin. I would want like Algorand or Hedera, which are the two coins we're going to highlight today in terms of news. I wonder if there's got to be a Vestige for, actually, let's go to, well, we'll go to that. We will. Oops. Yeah, I really miss the old Vestige, but I said that before too. Oh, come on. Here we go. Yeah, so by the way, these are arranged in, these are arranged by, what, so this is a rough chart, man. This is a really rough chart. The memes tend to take a bath when Algorand does as well, and they don't tend to go the other way. Sometimes, but not always. This tiny thing I'm really disturbed about, because that really wrecks my strategy even more. So I'm thinking about just doing straight up ready pool staking. We'll see. Yeah, everything is down. I mean, look at Munko really took a bath, down 20% on the week. Also, now they have 7-day. I do like this. I should mention this. They now have 1 hour, 24 hours, and 7-day. That's good. That's a good addition that they didn't have before. Yeah, in case you didn't know, these charts are arranged by TVL, so obviously Algorand on top now. And they used to not include Algorand. It was all just ASAs, so. But Tiny kind of the top of the ASAs in terms of TVL. Chips, let's see, what else is, yeah, so Chips not doing great on the week. In fact, we can sort now. Something called Algo Plant really took off. Look at all these tokens. These like little tokens. That's interesting. Now there's a John Woods. I mean, he already had his Jaws token. I guess it's kind of meaningless because it doesn't sort by like the top ones. Well, this is weird too, because I know we just looked at Munko and Munko is way worse. So yeah, not really working out all that well, but wonder if we sort by market cap, what's that look like? Go the other way. Yeah, the sorting functions don't really seem to work very well. I'm not really sure what's going on about that. Very strange. I guess we'll go back to TVL. Okay, here we are. That seems to be the only sorting function that actually works correctly. But yeah, otherwise DeFi token. I'm surprised Opulus is still here, down 20%. Not really a fan of that project and how they've interacted with the community and how they were happy to leave Algorand as soon as it was convenient. Always, they're happy to take their money though. Yeah, Nico down 16% again. Well, you look at the direction of these charts, and what's interesting is they're all following a really similar pattern. Have you noticed this? Like I used to point this out for, the regular cryptocurrencies, but this is what it's doing. Even on the ASAs, they all follow like a really similar pattern. That's really interesting. Yeah. So top gainers. Now here, I wonder what their sorting mechanism is here. Yeah, you have to be in the top 200. So they should do that for this too. For their main assets page, they should also limit that to the top 200, because otherwise you see all these little tiny ones that, like, it's kind of meaningless at those volumes. Fish sticks was an interesting one because fish sticks, let's look at this. Well, maybe not. I thought it rugged and came back, but it looks like it just went down, down, down. Like it was starting to come back and then back down. Yeah. Not the typical pattern though. Remember, my typical boot pattern is up, down, and then slowly trailing off. Here it's like it kind of did next to nothing and then popped off like crazy and then came back down. Not the typical, like not my typical boot pattern. Well, whatever. Let's get to some news. You know what? And this is the video we're gonna watch. We'll watch that one later. I just saved it because we're gonna react to it on stream. Actually, we're gonna start talking about. Is he still babbling about algo poo? Who is babbling about what? I don't know what that means. Algo poo. Are you talking about like? I don't know. Whatever. New name, new leadership, new era for builders on Hedera. So I want to talk about this because Hedera has taken a very different track this year, and I think they realized, and this is something I've been talking about, and I think this is really important, is that Hedera has decided, you know what? We really need to focus on retail. We got to focus on retail. Retail matters. Why? Because even though we're an enterprise-focused chain, and this is important for Algorand too, because Algorand is in the same position. They said in the beginning of the year, this year we're going to focus on retail more, because even when we deal with enterprise clients, they still want to see user growth. And Algorand's had pretty good user growth. It's been steadily going up. I'm not sure about Hedera, but I think it's probably the same. And anyway, they say new name, new leadership, and new era for builders on Hedera. This year and beyond, we're laser focused on driving growth across Hedera's on-chain economy and its institutional ecosystem, working to place the network in pole position for years to come. So what does that mean? It means more grassroots builder support whilst also attracting whilst. Can you just say while? What do you say whilst for? I don't know. Anyway, more grassroots builder support while also attracting top innovators from outside the ecosystem to establish Hedera as a leading network for both startups and enterprises alike. That's DeFi, AI, institutional asset tokenization, and more. DeFi, I think, is where you get retail, right? Because we all use DeFi, or we assume we all use DeFi, but like that's my main use case on Algorand. I mostly use it for DeFi. I don't buy and hold Algorand just to buy and hold Algorand, really. Alongside directly accelerating builders, we're also going to be indirectly accelerating them through renewed marketing that aims to capture marketing, keyword there, marketing. Okay. Actually, I'm going to zoom this back out. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, so keyword there, marketing. We'll come back to that. It aims to capture attention from across Web 2 and Web 3 and funnel it into the emerging economies being built there on Hedera. Remember, does that sound familiar to anybody? Does anyone recognize that playbook from, I don't know, a little coin called Algorand? Anyone recognize that playbook? I mean, this is what we had, right? This is exactly what they're doing, and I think it's smart. But Algorand had the benefit of Python and now TypeScript as well. And I think that's a big leg up. I don't even know what do you build on? What code do you use for Hedera? Let's look it up. We're going to learn together. Utilizes several programming languages for smart contracts. It primarily supports Solidity, just like Ethereum's. Otherwise, for developing applications that interact with the Hedera network, various SDKs are available in languages like Java, JavaScript, Go, and Swift. Interesting. That's a lot of languages. So I don't know if it's like optional or like different things require all those different things. Obviously, smart contracts seem to use Solidity. Very interesting. Over the coming weeks, we'll present our extensive strategy on how we plan to achieve this end. You can check out the press release. People are happy. That's cool little critters. Looks like saucer swap references there. Someone says, with Hedera repositioning and doubling down on institutions, is this the moment it transitions from underrated to undeniable? I don't think that's really what they're saying, though. I still see this as very much a more retail focus. CryptoWalk says, Hedera transactions fell off a cliff a couple months ago, but I love the project for the long term. Yeah, well, what happened there, we covered that. We actually covered that a while back. And I was shocked when I saw this. Hedera was down to so what happened was there was a governing council member that was basically putting its transactions on Hedera, and then one day they decided to stop, and I don't recall off the top of my head what the reason was, but that dropped the transactions to next to nothing. And it was a pretty, what is it now? It was like 2 to 3, almost 1 to 0 TPS. It was crazy. Let's see. TPS right now. Let's see what it's at. You gotta be kidding me. I know there's a... Seriously? How is it not like the first thing that comes up? Around TPS dashboard, that might do it. Probably the Hedera dashboard. Let's see. Yes, have all your cookies. Accounts. There's active accounts. Well, is that me or has that been falling off? That's interesting. Yeah, well, you can see from the fees, right? This is kind of telling. You can see from the fees it was going way up, and then boom, next to nothing. That's crazy. Yeah, we can see also transactions over time kind of shows you the story, right? It's up, and then flat. Yes, it doesn't look like we get to see that, but you can see we can see that. So clearly they know that they need to attract retail because you just need more transactions. It's not like Algorand's has been super great, by the way, but compared to Hedera's, I know there's a dashboard. I don't know why I can't find it, but anyway. So I do think this strategy is probably, pretty good. I think you definitely need, because this is what they said earlier in the year. The Hedera Foundation CEO said, listen, we're refocusing on retail because all the enterprise clients that we're working with, they tell us they want to see users. We can have all the great tech in the world, but if we don't have users, they just don't care. HBAR has to scale this cycle. Yeah, it'd be good. TPS fees are so low for HBAR, so they need millions of transactions to make a decent buck. Yeah, and same for Algorand, by the way. CryptoWalk says Algorand is horrible marketing. Silvio is the main reason most of us stick with it. Really? That's not my reason. I mean, I think it's great. I'm a big admirer of Silvio, but I wouldn't be on the chain just because he's involved. I care about the chain because of what I can do with it. Junior Jamie says, what coins do you see have more use cases and more opportunities? Well, oh, this is maybe what And then CryptoWalk mentioned Ondo too. In fact, this is interesting. Ondo has TVL of 1.2 billion with a market cap of 2.9 billion. It's severely undervalued for a company that tokenizes US treasuries. Well, now that's Algorand too, by the way. And we're going to dive into that a little more later, but Algorand is doing that too. More, and Junior, I don't know if you're talking about more than Hedera or more just in general. I think Hedera and Algorand, the reason I cover both of these is I think these are true utility coins that are trying to build real world projects. Now, that's a separate issue from, are these going to be the biggest price movers? I think probably not. Hedera's done pretty well. I mean, look, even now I'm up, let me do a little math. Yeah, about 4x on my Hedera. So that's hard to complain about, even though it's pulled back a little bit. I mean, that's pretty good. How many investments do you get where you're up like 4x in a downturn? Snail shared a face pink drinking tea emoji. Unfortunately, my chat bar window does not let me see the little emojis that you share, unfortunately. But yeah, so let's talk about some of those use cases, because that's what we're going to get into now. So this one, we're excited to announce that StegX. Who makes these names? StegX, the institutional real estate platform, is tokenizing $100 million of real estate as tokenized real world assets on Hedera. Real estate. Gosh, it's almost like we know a platform that does that. I'll be curious to see how they implement this, because the implementation is the important part. I just don't like how Lofty has worked. I think it's a good idea. I like the idea. It's been a bad investment for me because half at any given time, roughly half the properties are not paying any rent. Now they just crossed 40, what was it? $4 million in rent payments to users. And that sounds really good, but my yield has been way down because like most of them just don't pay rent. So that kind of sucks. Let's see. These tokens will leverage ERC 7518, the dynamic compliant interoperable security token standard from Zonic X, I guess. That is designed explicitly for institutional tokenization. So this embeds this token, the ERC 7518, embeds jurisdiction-aware compliance, automates KYC AML enforcement. That's interesting. Powers full lifecycle management of tokenized securities and enables global distribution by aligning with diverse regulatory frameworks. Okay. Yeah, it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because I've been pretty disappointed in Lofty. One of my big problems with Lofty is the automatic market maker makes a completely new token price than what the price of the real estate would suggest. So you'll get a value that says, oh, your real estate went up because, the price of the underlying real estate went up. But then the automatic market maker completely negates that, because, you'll have your token will be worth more, but then when you actually go to sell it, you get way less than what you paid for it. So I've just been selling and trying to put it in other stuff that'll actually make money. It was just a big loser for me. Do you like Proppy more than Lofty? I have not tried Proppy. In fact, that's the first I've heard of it. CryptoWalk says Algorand is the crypto version of Palantir. Both are tied in with lots of government projects. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say lots. Hedera and Algorand are both kind of competing for those. And they tend to be named, if you see like some kind of financial institution looking at on-chain stuff, they'll be in there saying, yeah, let's, they'll both be under consideration usually. Junior says, pretty heavy into HBAR, nothing into Algo yet, but after this I will. Yeah, I think they're great for I would say my suggestion, I wouldn't just buy it to buy it. And frankly, when it comes to Algorand, the price action just has not been great historically, and I've been covering this for 4 years. What I like about Algorand is all the things it lets you do. You know, like DeFi. The DeFi options are great, and they tend to work really well. You tend not to get, like, I used to get really frustrated by crypto platforms because they were always so difficult to use, and I find that not to be the case on Algorand. So that's my talk. CryptoWalk says, "Cool, Jamie. I've been holding for years. Cycle is our payoff." And yeah, I hope it comes out. I never used Proppy, but I have a feeling it'll be very useful, as is Arkham. Apparently, there's a lot more of these coming out, huh? That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll have to. It's funny. All you ever hear about is Lofty. You don't hear about the other ones, and so I hope StegX does well for them. And then one more we're going to talk about on HBAR before we move on to our Algorand news. Very excited to announce that Vera Standards, which manages the world's leading carbon standards program, has selected the Hedera Guardian to accelerate the digital transformation of the global carbon markets. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because for a while there, it seemed like every news I was sharing about Hedera had to do with carbon markets. It's a very popular chain amongst carbon markets, probably because it is the greenest blockchain. And while Algorand is very, very green, Hedera actually comes out ahead in that realm. But both comparatively are like super green compared to most of the market. Joey says Lofty has improved a lot. I kind of agree, but also I think they made some errors, and I really want, my biggest frustration is like if you have your token on an outside wallet, you can't make use of the automatic market maker right now, and it doesn't. That's been, people have been at that feature went live like almost 2 years ago, and they keep saying, yeah, that's coming eventually, and it just never gets built. And now they're talking about, because they got Alpha Arcade, they're not going to be building on Lofty as much. And so I'm like, well, great. That means that feature is probably nowhere near coming. That's frustrating because actually I just really want to get out of it. Algorand from 20 cents to $50. I don't know, man. Listen, I'll be the happiest person in the world if that happens, but maybe someday ain't gonna be this cycle. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, so I don't know how much I want to go into this. Alongside the collaboration further paves the way for open source software contributors to advance digitizing additional methodologies with financial incentives of up to $5,000 per methodology provided by the DLT Earth Bounty Program. So if you're a hacker type, you can do that kind of stuff. Definitely can make some money there. Joey says, yeah, they definitely need to speed up some updates, including Gov 2.0. And I'll tell you, like, I almost never vote. I voted a couple times on some property stuff. If they're gonna sell one, a lot of times I'm like, yes, sell it. Sell the darn thing. Okay, well, that's our Hedera news, and I think there's definitely some good stuff on there. Okay, why are you not working? Okay, here we go. I got a few Algorand things to talk about. I'm gonna change gears though. Hold on one second. Oh my God. For whatever reason, sometimes this mouse, I really love this Logitech mouse, but sometimes it just doesn't click on things. Jason Lowe says XRP gets so much hype and way more YouTube videos. What is your opinion on XRP? I have a couple of thoughts on XRP, and let me find the video first. One, I think, oh, yeah, here's the video we're going to react to later. One, I think it'll probably be a pretty important coin hey, there's my video. There's me. Actually, we're gonna watch this in a second. I kind of want to get your take on this, guys. But well, before we do that, yeah, XRP, I think it'll be a really important coin for the financial markets. I think it'll probably get a decent amount of adoption there. I also think it's weird because, and I give Ripple a lot of credit for fighting some of this battle with the SEC, because because I found, you know, they were kind of the pioneers in that aspect. I think the people on XRP are a little too overcooked on their excitement on XRP. Ooh, by the way, this title, like, I don't mind the thumbnail. It's not bad, but this title is really bad. Maybe next time I'll suggest a title. This is like if you don't want to get clicks, this is like the title you use. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but um yeah, we'll get to that. Let's watch the video I made. So this is my first video that I was contracted to make for the Algorand Foundation, and I purposely make them differently than I would make videos for my own channel. And you know, I definitely wanted to disclose that I do have this partnership. I don't know how long it will last. It's initially for 3 videos. I'm sorry, 3 months worth of videos, like 2 a piece. Yeah, Snail says CryptoWalk says XRP army is organic. We've been around for years. Yeah, absolutely. But then Snail says there's a lot of copium in the XRP community and hopium, and I agree with that too. I reacted to a video that was made 4 years ago that said XRP was going to be worth $10,000 in a year's time, which obviously did not happen. And it was full of copium, basically. I kind of picked it apart because they're like, oh, well, XRP is going to be the one for all this real world use case. Well, there's a lot of other chains that are competing in that space. So, you know, XRP will probably be one of them. And I don't like have any hate for XRP, but yeah, I think for sure it's going to I think for sure it's overcooked a little bit. Well, that yeah, 338 is good. I don't have a problem. Like I said, it's we get a little battle here in the chat. Tech is fine. Not sure anyone needs to have 20 XRP to use the chain. 338. Listen, it's gonna pump in price. Yeah, 338's it's good. It has good price action, but it's not 10,000. And you see that, like, it's so common to see like these ridiculous price predictions for XRP. And you know, influencers are they're gonna do what they're gonna do, I guess. You know, like, I'm not an XRP hater. I just think sometimes the people who promote XRP just they do some of the worst in terms of like way over promising when it comes to price prediction. I like hate making price predictions, by the way, but I try to make reasonable ones based on past experience, which tends to be one of the more reliable indicators. The one thing that people do that I really hate, by the way, is the market cap math, where they go, oh, well, if this coin had the market cap of this one, it would be worth this much. Yeah, who cares? That's meaningless, you know? Anyway. So anyway, I want to play this video and see what you guys think about it. Do you love to play chess? We'll do a little reaction here. Oops, nope. Hold on. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, here we go. I might not talk as much for this one. Do you love to play chess? I sure do. Well, Algorand and World Chess have something for you. Algorand and World Chess recently announced the creation of a universal chess passport. Geez, I could have shaved during this. I just realized, like, I'm just like so scruffy. I could have shaved my neck before. Then gave myself a little shave here before making a Algorand Foundation video. But anyway. What does that mean? This universal chess passport will have one centralized ID so that you'll be able to bring your identification, your ranking, and your reputation to other platforms. According to the Algorand Foundation, this is one login for all chess platforms and all chess tournaments. A unified secure identity to verify your records, ranking, loyalty programs, membership, reputation for fair play, and more. What did World Chess have to say about this development? Well, let's go take a look. In a white paper published today, World Chess and the Algorand Foundation Yeah, by the way, they have this insistence that I do the round corners, which I don't know, whatever, it's like their style, but it's kind of weird because no one really does round corners. Like you never see a streamer do this, unless they have some kind of stylization. Yeah, it's been a really interesting experience making videos for someone else and having to meet like certain standards that they have. It's very interesting. Conceptualize a new blockchain-based system that would establish secure, private, and verifiable credentials for global sports organizations, including chess. A chess grandmaster actually contributed to the paper alongside with the Algorand Foundation and World Chess. The move comes as interest in chess hits an all-new high, driven by popular television series on Netflix and the BBC, the 2024 awarding of the youngest ever World Chess Championship, the 2024 awarding of the youngest ever World Chess Champion, and the inclusion of chess for the first time in the Esports World Cup this year. If adopted, this system would allow players to independently manage their identity and credentials across all chess platforms and organizations with a single decentralized ID and one login credential for everywhere they play. They could then easily port their identity, achievements, records of play, rankings, and rewards across online chess platforms, as well as seamlessly from the digital world to the in-person games and tournaments. That's right, you'll be able to basically take this thing everywhere that you go play chess. All right, so why do I love this thing? First off, I'm a big chess fan. I will play chess puzzles for entertainment. I love playing the game online, but you know what happens is you have some friends on one platform, you have some friends on another, and every time you go to a new platform, you essentially have to start over and establish your ranking. And that takes a while, especially if you play across multiple different chess types. With this, you'll have one chess ID built on Algorand with its security and speed, and you'll be able to take that anywhere you go, even to like a regular chess tournament. So if you've been playing online a lot and you build up your ranking, now you can take that ranking to a real in-life tournament. Plus, I think the introduction of chess into the esports, the World Cup here, this is awesome. This is going to be a big deal. So having Algorand behind the platform that every chess player could potentially be using, and probably will, because this idea just makes a ton of sense. This is a big deal, and I think this is one of the more important platform developments that I've seen that really could have a real impact. And I love the idea that 600 million chess players could be using this passport down the road. This is really cool stuff, and I'm FrugalBC, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Well, there you are. There it is. Yeah, I don't know what you think. So I'll link the let's raid the channel here a little bit. I'm gonna throw it on my generic one, so it goes to all the platforms. Yeah, go give it some like, go give it a like and give it a watch, give it some love. Let's get those views up. But yeah, I want to give them some title tips. I should probably suggest a title next time. Thanks, Snail. Appreciate that. Yeah, I thought it was it was an interesting experience. I just turned in I guess it'd be my third one. I had one that got canceled because it was about FIFA. Oops. Yeah, so as you can imagine, they didn't want the FIFA one anymore. Kind of can't blame them for that. But it was good. It was good to learn. It was a good learning experience, and it's definitely helps with making a little more money on the channel here. CryptoWalk says, rumor is Saudi Arabia or Aramco is ready to tokenize $500 billion worth of oil on XRP. I hope this gets announced next week at XRP Vegas. Snail says, almost solely due to Robinhood, trillions of dollars could flow in any direction. It happened to think SHIB will do better than both Algo and XRP. Yeah, it could be. I still have my little moon bag of Shiba Inu, so I'm hoping one day it goes up there. But yeah, definitely give this video some love. I thought it was fun to do. And then let's get back to some Algorand news here. By the way, just a quick little reminder, if you have not already hit the like and subscribe button, well, please do that. Let's get those likes up, and that helps show the video to more people. Definitely give it a like on X as well. And you can leave comments there. I tend not to get many comments on X, which is interesting. I guess a lot of people probably have it on and maybe listen in the background, that kind of thing. Well, let's go back to our, oh, was that all book? Oh, darn it. We'll watch that video a little later too. Let's see. Yeah, so here's the, we'll pull back in a second here, but this is now official, by the way. We talked, so I got a little heads up on this one. Shout out to my source on that. You know who you are. And T-bills, it was said that T-bills were going to go live on Algorand, and turned out that was entirely the case. Midas RWA, a fully regulated German tokenization platform, launches T-bill, MT-bill token on Algorand, the first non-EVM launch of the token. So we got, you have a T-bill? We have a T-bill. That was a Jurassic Park reference, or, you know, we have a T-Rex? You have a T-Rex? We have a T-Rex. Is that too, maybe that's too obscure. I don't know if you guys remember Jurassic Park. Classic movie, perfect to, perfect movie to quote. I was quoting something the other day. I said on careful consideration, I've decided not to endorse here or whatever, and that's a Jurassic Park reference too. Anyway, so MT bill is a tokenized certificate referencing short-term U.S. Treasury ETFs available to retail investors across Europe. The redemption value is based on the liquidation proceeds of a reference basket composed of ETFs such as BlackRock's IBO1 and BUIDL, or Buildle, kind of like HODL, but Buildo. Michael Orr says you need the straw hat and the cane. Oh, man. I mean, I was old enough to see it in the theater, so yeah, probably walk dishing out to the banks. Oh, and now I'm seeing the emojis again. That's interesting. However, unlike the Buildle fund, so it sounds like this is going to work. If I'm understanding this right, it's going to work kind of like liquid staking, where the token basically, you know, goes up in value. And in this case, it's referencing the basket of the ETFs. However, unlike the Buildle, how are you going to pronounce that? Like HODL works, but Buildle, Beto, I don't know. That one doesn't work as well. Fund which requires a minimum investment of $5 million. MTB is structured to allow the broader access to short-term duration U.S. Treasury exposure with no minimum investment required. So yeah, you can just get it. You know, again, permissionlessness, kind of an important crypto thing, isn't it? This is very good. I like this. With MT Bill, retail investors have the same access to high quality assets that institutions enjoy. Yeah, so I don't know about you guys. I don't have $5 million. Oops, there we go. $5 million sitting around. Oh, I should, hold on. There. I don't have $5 million sitting around to be buying me some U.S. Treasury exposure, but yeah, it's nice if you can just do that on Algorand for, you know, put $5 in it if you want. MT Bill is a permissionless token that offers full DeFi composability. These assets will make their way to our DeFi ecosystem in the next few weeks. Stay tuned. MT Bill currently offers a yield of 4.606% based on the trailing 7-day yield of the underlying ETFs net of fees as of May 29th. So, I mean, that's yield that's pretty low risk. But right now you can actually get, I'm going to point something out. And it'd be interesting to compare the risk profiles, but right now you're getting actually 6.7% on USD, and it changes all the time, by the way. It changes all the time. Yesterday it was like 5 something. At one point it was like 27%. I wonder why that changes. I'd be really curious to know why that changes so much. There's a variable and a stable. I also don't know what the 2x thing is. I don't use folks a lot, so I also don't really know. Oh, I do know where the balance comes from. Never mind. Yeah, I had something happen where I wasn't able to. I was actually going to put a little money in the USDC and earn some yield, but I didn't. So interesting. Anyway, but yeah, another option. So if you did want to put some stuff in treasuries, so some of you guys, I know some of you guys are like straightforward. You just do nothing but Algorand. And so this would be a good way to diversify, to have something that just earns like slow, steady yield versus, goes up and down a lot. This would be a good way to balance your portfolio if you're like solely focused on Algorand and do everything on Algorand, which you could do now. You could have a money market fund, you could have gold. By the way, I thought something was funny the other day. Someone was talking about gold, how people who were into gold used to get made fun of. They were called gold bugs. I'm like, and they're saying now that a lot of that has shifted to Bitcoin, are you going to have Bitcoin bugs where Bitcoin are the kind of the weirdos? I don't know. Anyway, this is related to this. It says, with this announcement, we're excited to announce that Para Explorer now supports ARC62 expanded ASA circulation supplies. Now, if you're wondering what that is, well, read on because we'll find out. Previously, tokens on Algorand could only set one wallet as a reserve address. ARC62 allows token creators to add more reserved wallets to their token for specific purposes. T-bills are one of the first on-chain tokens to use this new functionality, and you can read about it. This is what I was talking about. He says, which one is it, or either? The one without the image has circulation outside of the wallet, so it might be that one. Like, I would want to know. Shouldn't they know? I feel like they should probably know that. They responded now and said, the second one is scammers. ARC62 indicates ASA has to be ARC3, ARC19, or ARC69. How does one determine which one of the three ARCs ASA that number is encoded with? ARC19 is also ARC3, so that one is easier. Since you can't change the URL field of an ASA, the transaction note should only be used retroactively. Okay, so yeah, I'd be careful. I'd wait to make sure we know exactly which one is supposed to be the actual one that we're supposed to use. No, they said a few weeks, but like apparently it's there. The ASA is there. So if it's there, can't you just get it? Or is there nowhere to get it from? What happened? Hold on a second. I'm going to go to swap. Not there, I guess. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's available anywhere, so, or at least not on Tinyman Swap. Let's see. CryptoWalk says FIFA has picked Avalanche to power its own blockchain network, ending its partnership with Algorand. Yep, no, we've talked about that. That was a head scratcher. I think Algo is too slow and deliberate for FIFA. They want things to happen fast. Well, Algo is faster than AVAX and less expensive. And in fact, their first like month or week or whatever, there was tons of people saying, oh, this is broken now, it's not working, it's super slow, it's like takes 10 minutes to do a transaction. Snail says nothing is happening on Avalanche, sorry. Sean Vogel saying Algo 555 end of year. Well, I don't know, but I wouldn't mind that. Michael Orr says, I'm probably not going to be buying any T-bills, but happy to get hopefully a bump in transaction. Yeah, transactions. I don't know. Maybe. CryptoWalk says T-bills with Bitcoin embedded in is the way. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by Bitcoin embedded with T-bills? Why is that? I don't understand what that even means. Well, that's not all we got. Oh, the Cosmic Champ iOS is back. So he says you'll need to opt in again now since it's now published under new developer account. Simply use the link here, test flight, or visit Play Cosmic Chance Play on your iPhone and follow the instructions. Yeah, and it's kind of weird because they had this whole crypto thing, but I thought they got rid of them. The crypto restrictions in the iOS app. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Yeah, anyone out there playing Cosmic Champs? I just like, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy the game that much, to be honest. I guess I didn't. I had a hard time. really understanding the strategy, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. It was kind of fun. I just didn't, it seemed like you just throw your guys out there and they do stuff, but clearly there's probably something I'm missing there. So, yeah, well, but yeah, no, it's always nice to see these things being built on Algorand. So I'm in favor of that anyway. And they've been around for a while, and they've been building. They haven't gone down. They haven't rugged. They haven't disappeared. They've just been building. Oh, and I should mention, I got my access for the I got my access for the oh, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, the Fractal Monsters collectible card game. So I'm pretty excited to try that when I get a chance. I'll probably play it a little on my own first, and maybe I'll do a special stream with it, because I think it could be kind of fun. Yeah, so here it actually is. Tiny Man saying the upgrade you've been waiting for is here. Trigger orders, limit orders, and recurring orders DCA are live on Tiny Man. You asked, we listened, we built. And they've been teasing this for a while, and it kind of made me think, like, how much should you actually promote something before it comes live? I think you got to do it pretty close. I think if you do that for like weeks and weeks, people are like, okay, is it happening already? The longer the promotion period, the bigger the payoff better be. So you got to think about that. But anyway, you can do price, targeted buys and sells, auto DCA, on-chain, non-custodial control, no minimum, no, just strategy. It's a weird layout from what I saw, and we looked at it a little bit earlier. In fact, we can pull that up. Oh, is Algo going back up? No, I guess not. I don't know. So here's the trigger. Let's just see what. Oh, you have to. What? That's really weird. Okay, well, we're not going to be able to test it out. Don't you have to put an amount in? I don't understand how this. I'll have to play around with this. I think it's a little. The layout is kind of weird. I don't really understand it. It's so much easier on Coinbase. It just makes sense. CryptoWalk says it becomes a hybrid bill by having a little Bitcoin in it. This is a new idea being floated I really like. Yeah, that's interesting, but what's the difference between just having some Bitcoin on the side? Like, what is... I don't understand why having Bitcoin in a T-bill, like what that does. Are you just saying, like, does the T-bill yield get added in Bitcoin instead of... Because instead of just whatever the underlying asset is? I guess I just don't really understand the mechanism there. Jackson says, for the DCA feature, are there any plans to lower the min swap from its current $10 amount per swap? Not at the moment, however, always listening to community feedback. Yeah, well, that's weird. Why $10? That's, well, whatever. I think there's probably a lot of people that just want to do like $1 a day or something. So I could see why people would want that, but interesting. Is it only available to tiny governors with 2,000 tiny? Yes, sir. Oh, I didn't know that. See, they should have put that in there. You definitely should put that in your announcement, because otherwise people are going to be like, wait, I don't see it. Now, I have more than 2,000 tiny in my governance. So yeah, the first few weeks will be exclusive to tiny governors. Yeah, definitely got to put that in your documentation up front. Otherwise, everyone's gonna be like, wait, I don't see it for me. And they wouldn't know why if they didn't dig deeper into here. So there's some docs about there. So overall, I mean, it's good. It's good. Like, I like seeing this kind of stuff because I do a lot of limit ordering on Coinbase, so having it here in the DEX is pretty nice. All right. Anything else I wanted to cover for Algorand? This is just kind of interesting, I think. Oh yeah, no, we should cover this. So Exodus, and then I'm going to take a little bathroom break after this. Exodus rumors are true. We dropped our Exodus Web3 card at Bitcoin Las Vegas. If you're here at the show, you get first dibs, etc. And you might be excited because you're like, oh, Exodus, they're the ones that they have a wallet and they tokenize their they tokenized their stock on Algorand. How nice, right? And then, is it built on Algo? Glad you're excited. Right now, the card has the option to pay USD and USDT on Solana. Come on. I just don't get it. I don't get it. On Solana, the network has, says Eldar. Eldar is like definitely a friend of the channel here. On Solana, the network has 14 major outages so far, not to mention 70% plus rate of failed transactions. I think that's improved lately, to be fair. I've been using it on Helium Mobile, and it's been pretty solid. But the outages should be concerning to anyone building on a platform. It's the one thing trading memes and not caring about failed. It's one thing trading memes and not caring about failed transactions, and completely different being in the shop or restaurant looking like a plebe because the card is not working. Exactly. I can't comprehend how these multi-million billion-dollar companies go to Solana so easily when it has tons of flaws that no matter so much to the daily user. That matter, yeah, of course. Obviously, these companies aren't doing any research at all and are just jumping at the hype. Money drills through doors when pneumatic drill would fail. Yeah, I mean, maybe that is. I don't know. I find it really weird. And then these support ones. This is so obviously a bot. Hi, Elder. Thanks for speaking up. We value your feedback. No, you didn't, because you're not actually responding like a real person. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, that's actually really frustrating. It's really frustrating to see that. Like, I continue not to get it. All right, what are people saying here? Bitcoin is like a bigger brother. Yeah, it definitely helps if Algo has more activity with Bitcoin. No need to understand all the logistics. Joseph Trader says, will anything get this chain going? Clearly the marketing strategy of only growing organically failed big time. Joseph Trader said, how long from 2009 did it take Bitcoin to get over $10? 2019 launch of Algo. How long did it take? Here, we're done with this anyway. Well, no, actually, we're not. Hold on. And then for real, and yeah, by the way, Joseph and Mary, that's interesting, right? Mary and Joseph, some very biblical names here, but yes, thanks for being here. I appreciate having you on the show. And yeah, what? Yeah, because like I actually paid attention to Bitcoin much before I bought it, and every time I thought, oh well, that seems like it must be over with. In this range, I mean, and this is plus. This isn't even the start of it. Like this chart actually doesn't go to the very start of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was like it was worth a penny. And it was in 2010. It was worth like 15 cents. So around Algorand's range, 22. Then it started to go up, started to be worth $1, then 20 some dollars, then kind of back down. Well, I don't know. If you want to compare, that price action is actually better than Algorand. It didn't take nearly as long, but it was the only game in town, don't forget. Yeah, in 2011 it was worth $21, so actually it got over $10 pretty quickly within a couple years. Snail says people just want number go up. Yeah, I mean, I get it, if you're investing, and that's why we separate. When we talk about utility, we talk about utility for a reason, because I think that's really important outside of price action. But also, like I said, I use Algorand because it works really well for the types of stuff I want to do when I actually use a chain. But as far as, I hold a lot of stuff that I'm purely holding for price appreciation. I'm not holding it for some other reason, right? So anyway, yeah, I'm going to pull this video up. And then I got to take a little bathroom break. And then we'll watch this video together, and that'll kind of be the end of things. So just give me in fact, maybe I'll put something else on. Here, you guys can watch a little.
Today actually, I want to talk about Bitcoin.
I'll probably get like copyrighted for that. Okay, I'll be right back. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm back, and yeah, CryptoX says, I never realized there was an algo group on YouTube with lives. Well, just me. Well, and me and Coop Daniels. He does a daily show too, or a daily show, I think. Let's see. Snail says being in crypto from 2016, I can 100% tell you that XRP is not the leader. It's just your favorite. Algo moves when XRP moves first. Had a little debate here with XRP and algo. Hey, listen, I own some XRP and I definitely took some profit when it went up, so I'm not complaining. Probably has a little better price action than Algorand, if I'm being honest, from what I've seen. Algorand's not the best price action coin, like I wish it was. I just like it because it's so easy. There's so many great DeFi options and it's really functional. It works really well. I mean, that's what I like about it, so. CryptoWalk says, now my favorite is money. I own almost every project we talked about today. If you're market savvy, you'd stay away from only one project ideology. Yeah. Well, I agree with that. I don't think Snail is a one coin person. I definitely don't think you should be a one coin person. I agree with that, actually. And I am not either, but Algorand is what I do stuff in. So that's why I make most of my content is around Algorand and Hedera, because I actually use the chains. But yeah, as far as money, I'm pretty diversified. Here, let me I haven't updated it, so I don't want to share it on screen, but let me just list, just for the viewer, for all the viewers' sake, let me just list what my portfolio is. I have Solana. I know Solana. I own Solana, Bitcoin, Metasnow, PYR, Near, Mina, Matic, Matic, HBAR, XRP, Blur, Sui, Link, Dog with Hat, sorry, and Ondo. Actually, Ondo is one I want to dig into more. And CryptoWalk, I think you mentioned Ondo before too. I think Ondo is a really cool project, and they had tokenized T-bills before Algorand did, so definitely into that one. Yeah, so I'm pretty diversified, and then I have a bunch of little like tiny amounts of other coins. Like I always did the Coinbase earn thing where you get like free coins for whatever. None of those really like panned out. Yeah, I know Matic, right? Or whatever it is now. I think it's split, and I have one of them. They both suck. So I was really surprised. Matic was a pretty big pumper last time and hasn't done much this time. Unfortunately, it's one of my worst ones. I don't know where I'm at now because I haven't updated my spreadsheet in a while. But I did take a lot of profits. Actually, my total portfolio last I checked was in the positive. I was way up on Bitcoin. That was my best one. So I'm actually like, I'm actually taking a dollar cost average strategy with Bitcoin now. So yeah, and yeah, Snail, just to be clear, yeah, Snail is not a one trick person. I know some people are for all the coins. All the coins have their maxis. I just don't think it's a good idea to be a maxi on anything. Just do what works, right? All right, so let's watch this now. This is by I picked this video. I have not watched this video. I don't know what he's about to say, but he has 198,000 subscribers, so he's a pretty big YouTuber. And this particular video only got 1.6 thousand views, so that's like, one of my videos sometimes get that too. Actually a little surprised about that. It's got 148 likes, and this was like the top, so I chose this one because it was at the very top when I took a what do they call it, let me see, a private window, and then I pull up YouTube and I punched in Algorand and saw what came up. So I was like, whatever one's first, that's what I'm going to react to. So that's what I'm going to react to. Now, the title of the video is Algorand is super underrated for this big reason. It's a good title. It's a very good title, because you go, whoa, what's the big reason? I got to click and watch. Yeah, that's pretty smart. He's good. He's obviously got a good reach for a reason. So anyway, Snail says, CryptoWalk says, I made 50K off SHIB last cycle. I'm done with it for now. Yeah, I actually have a moon bag of SHIB. It's from, I just put a little bit in. I pulled off profits when it went up. So Snail says, all of blockchain taking a dip, soak it up. For sure. Okay, let's get into this.
So one of the most underrated cryptos, in my opinion, right now out there is Algorand, and I've been invested in Algorand for a really long time. They're doing a lot in the RWA, real world asset tokenization space, but outside of that, there's one thing that Algorand has. There's one big reason why I think they are super underrated, and it has to do with the future of technology and how Algorand is positioning itself. They're a US based company. They're a dinosaur. They've been around for a really long time. They're founders from.
I don't get this dinosaur thing. It's very confusing to me. I don't think it's been around that. It's like 2019. Is that a dinosaur? I don't know. Seems weird to me, but I know this goes around a lot. Also, they almost say that like it's a bad thing. I just think that's kind of weird. But whatever. Anyway.
MIT. He's a genius when it comes to cryptography. But we're going to get into it, guys. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe down below. Shout out to Algorand. They have been a phenomenal company to work with, to work alongside. I've been helping with their marketing for months now, and just wanted to have that full disclosure with you guys, full transparency. I am invested in Algorand, but I'm also working with them to help their marketing push and get the word out, because there's a lot of layer ones out there. But I want to present to you guys something that came across the desk the other day that I found really fascinating. And again, hit that like button, subscribe down below. If you guys are already in Algorand, let me know your thoughts on all of this down below as well. But let me go into my bookmarks, because I put this in here. And it came out from the Algorand Foundation not too long ago. And it has to do with quantum computing. And quantum computing poses a risk to Bitcoin. We've heard this narrative quite a bit, and other blockchains, as recently warned by BlackRock. But Cointelegraph recently put out an article saying Algorand is ahead of the competition. Algorand is doing the most when it comes to being ready for quantum computing. And it says here, Algorand has already integrated Falcon, backed by encryption that could hold up even if quantum machines go live tomorrow. So it says here, quantum computing just still feels like a future problem. The crypto industry is already gearing up for it, and the efforts underway are more serious than most people realize. So one of the most talked about proposal is something called QRAMP. And this idea is to push users to move their coins from older, potentially vulnerable wallet formats into addresses protected by newer quantum-safe algorithms. It would require a hard fork, so it's no small lift, but it's a serious plan to future-proof the network before a so-called Q-day sneaks up. And Algorand, for example, they've already integrated Falcon. They're already ready for this. This means transactions on Algorand are already being backed by encryption that could hold up even if quantum machines go live tomorrow. That's pretty amazing when you consider, how fast technology is moving today and how quickly things could change. Now, when it comes to
CryptoWalk pointing out that he is paid to promote them. I think it's good that he's putting this out there and actually saying it up front, because like the Crypto Wendio made one of these videos too, and I think that's good, because you know what, marketing push, you definitely want to get people talking about it. And someone with a $200,000 200,000 subscriber account, that's good to see. And Crypto Wendio is up there too, in like 250, 260. And I'm making some videos for them too. I'm not putting them on my own channel, I'm putting them on their channel. And that doesn't really affect, as you've seen, there's plenty of things I critiqued today. So as you see, it's not really affecting my coverage. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's great that they're just closing it, though. I think that's really important. And so I don't have a problem if someone's actually saying, hey, plus what he's saying isn't untrue. Like, so far, this is all stuff I've covered on my channel. My next video for the foundation is on this topic as well. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I just did. So it is what it is. I don't have a problem with it, because I will call them out when they need to be called out.
Algorand, from a price standpoint, we are ranked right around the 50 range. Algorand right now ranked at 52, sitting just below a $2 billion market cap. And when we look into Algo a little bit deeper, we'll find that this chart has a lot of room behind it. The all-time high was set back 6 years ago in 2019 at $3.28. We're currently sitting at 21 cents, guys. So when we're looking at altcoins,
really important point there, though, that is from the botch launch. Like, so it's never organically hit that amount. It launched at 328 and then it crashed immediately, as you can see. Well, he's showing the chart. He's got the chart right in front of him. You can see it right down there. CryptoWalk says not a big Zach Humphreys guy. He never does deep dives into projects. He only makes videos for clicks and money. It's not good. This is the first time I've ever seen him. I don't know anything about him other than this video. What I've seen is 3 minutes and 18 seconds so far. And thankfully it's a short video, so we don't have to spend all day on this. But yeah, that should be like right in front of his face. When I had DZ on my channel from the BitBoy Crypto channel, he pointed out this botched launch and yeah, that's bad. CryptoWalk says, yeah, but you're talking the projects out with your audience. Yeah. Snail says, that's why we're lucky to have Frugal BC. Well, I appreciate that, Snail. Anyway, let's get back to this one.
When I'm looking at altcoins, and I think this goes for most people, you're trying to find assets that are way down from their all-time high, that have staying power, that are actively building, that have a lot going on. And Algorand is certainly one of those. And again, sitting here at 93% down from its all-time high, there's a lot of room to run here for Algorand. Now, I mentioned there were some other things I wanted to throw in there as well, as it relates to Algorand. I think it came out from Nansen recently. Let me see here if I can find it for us. Nansen Algorand. It was their most recent post. Here it is. Algorand just clocked 1 million daily transactions, 108,000 active addresses, up nearly 30% in a day. Low fees, growing usage, and one wallet, TravelX, driving serious volume. The chain may not always trend, but the numbers don't lie. So I mentioned RWA is a big piece to what Algorand's doing. TravelX is a company built on the Algorand blockchain. They are tokenizing airline tickets. So shout out to Algorand X and the Algorand Foundation for backing these kind of products and companies up. A lot of nuanced companies building on Algorand's blockchain in the RWA space. Meld is another company I really like. They're tokenizing gold. So I just think Algorand has a lot going for it. But the big reason why I think they're underrated is they are quantum ready. They are ready for quantum computing. And that to me is going to be a massive, massive, feather in their cap as this becomes more of a prevalent issue and something we're going to have to deal with in crypto down the line. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Also, before we get up on out of here, come on over and trade with us, guys. Bidify, it's got a
Yeah, okay, we're not gonna give him extra promotion there, but I'll give it a like. It's pretty solid. I mean, the one thing I thought was a little weird was if I was evaluating all-time high, I would look at the more natural price appreciation that happened in the last cycle more than I would like the botched launch price. And that was pretty obvious looking at the chart. I don't know if he just passed over that or didn't really want to bring that up because he was being paid to do that video. But yeah, overall pretty solid video. I'll link you guys the video because I think that's fair. I'm always about giving some love to and I'm sharing it with the generic one, so it comes up on Twitch and on YouTube. Yeah, overall, pretty solid video, pretty light. But I thought he made some important points. I'm a big fan of the quantum readiness. I think that's really important. And also, I don't know if I quite agree with his stance on the all-time high. Like I said, I would focus on the last cycle and its high there. We were at 260 something. I think that's I've always been saying $2 to $3 is pretty realistic. $3 to $5 is maybe like a stretch goal for this next cycle, assuming we have this, if this alt season ever comes up. Anyway, CryptoWalk asking what NFD or a non-fungible domain is. Well, that's essentially the naming service on Algorand. There was another one called Algorand naming service that I actually used at first because I didn't know the difference, and it didn't work anywhere. Whereas non-fungible domains works everywhere, and we have vaults and segments too that they offer there. They are a sponsor of the show, and we're happy to have them because they don't have a coin, by the way. They just deliver a product, and I like that. So. CryptoWalk says every corporation on chain that needs quantum protection are going to race to the quantum resistant chains starting next year. I think that's going to be a really important factor. I agree with that. Snail says send some Gary and groceries enjoy. Frugal BC. Yeah, thanks Snail. Appreciate that. Appreciate that so much. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with this video. I think it was pretty solid. I wonder if it's a subscriber size. I wonder why it's at the top, because I don't. It's a pretty good title. This guy's obviously got titles and thumbnails down pretty well, or at least the titles. I think that's good. It probably got a lot of click through, but like only 1.6K, but it's in a day, so that's a pretty good velocity. CryptoWalk says, no NFT here. I don't move funds usually. I hold for years and I light up a cold wallet for use. Yeah, it makes sense. It's a good way to do it too. Well, I think that's all I have for you today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. That was a lot of fun, I think. Snail says, yeah, super cheap right now for an NFT since algo is down in price. Yeah, and if you have something like mine where it's a little bit longer, like Frugal BC, like if you did Crypto Walk, that would be pretty cheap because the fewer letters, the more you have to pay, which is it was pretty similar on like ETH and all those other, Solana naming service or Sui or .sui, .solana or .sol, I think it is, whatever it is. So, yeah, it's a pretty good deal. It is recurring now, I believe. But anyway, yeah, thanks so much for watching. I think we had a good live stream today. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Ooh, excuse me. I sneeze on stream. And it says IOTA will explode soon as well. Yeah, I'm hoping a lot of them explode. I hope we have this real alt season coming here. So, all right, guys, I gotta go. But thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'm thinking about maybe trying to add a second live stream at some point, maybe earlier in the week. So we'll see. CryptoWalk says, good show. I liked it, dude. Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate all the comments. I like the back and forth. I don't get too attached to these things. So I'm always happy to, have some disagreements and talk about stuff. And, I thought you contributed some good stuff. So everyone who commented, everyone who joined today, thanks so much.